You can print in metals. You can print in ceramics. You can print in alginates. You could print in food. And it turns out you can print with living cells.
3D printing in medicine is what we'll dive into in this episode of Tomorrow's Cure, a podcast from Mayo Clinic that brings the future of medicine to the present. Joining us right now, Dr. Jonathan Morris is the Mayo Clinic neuroradiologist who leads Mayo Clinic's 3D anatomic modeling lab. His team makes life-sized 3D models that help surgeons get a better view of what they're up against before they go into surgery, as well as surgical instruments, prosthetics, and other items. Joining us remotely is Dr. Beth Ripley. She's Deputy Chief at the VA's Office of Healthcare Innovation and Learning in Seattle. They also do 3D printing, creating everything from specialized braces to 3D models. Drs. Ripley and Morris, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Now, I'm curious, Dr. Ripley, at this point, what might the average person run into in terms of using 3D printing in the healthcare services?
One of the most impactful things we're doing with 3D printing in healthcare is bringing patients' imaging anatomy back into the three-dimensional space. So a patient may walk into their surgeon's office and be faced with the opportunity to hold their own heart, their own kidney, their own blood vessel in their hand, and to be able to really look at the anatomy and understand what is wrong, what needs to be fixed, how they're going to do it, and why. Being able to have something physically in front of you that you can understand while you're hearing this news, while you're making decisions about your healthcare is critically important.
This is not something you buy off the shelf and I'm talking about you to this plastic model. Like, this is your kidney, this is your blood vessels. And that's where 3D printing really shines, in that it makes custom things accessible to the masses.
Dr. Morris, you have a model that has been made in your lab of a kidney with a tumor on it. So if you give this to the doctor, the attending surgeon, as he or she is getting ready for this procedure, how does it help them?
You know, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, then a model's worth 1,000 pictures. So I'm just going to pick up this kidney tumor model. There is a tumor, which is in green in the kidney. It's got arteries, which are blood vessels going to the tumor, veins that are draining the kidney, and then there's yellow parts where the urine is collected. So there's a lot of parts to your kidney. And not only is this helpful to the patient, but the surgeon, every kidney is unique. And I think one of the things that was really made me dedicate a large part of my career to this was we had really great surgeons at Mayo Clinic coming up and saying, this was incredibly helpful to me. We spend a lifetime learning the three-dimensional world and holding objects in our hand. And actually, a large part of your brain is devoted to the sense of touch. So this is driving understanding in a way that visual understanding doesn't work. And when you come today, because of all of the advances in technology, when you come to get a CT scan, let's say of your chest and your abdomen and your pelvis, what used to be about 200 slices of images is now 13,800 images, because we can image you faster and thinner. So if you were thought of your body as a loaf of bread, every slice would be 0.6 millimeters, which is about a hair. And we're looking at 13,800 images, trying to make a life-size three-dimensional model in our head. But when you print it out and bring it back to the physical life, you say, well, you don't have to do any mental gymnastics.
Now, how did we go from 3D printing to create models to making the leap to actual implants, customized to fit the person? When did that happen, Dr. Ripley?
So
fairly recently?
That has always been, kind of in the imagination of the general public, right? If any great science fiction reader or avid science fiction reader has thought about this. And within VA, we're actually very interested in this. We have a project called VA BioBone, where we are printing with demineralized bone, actual pulverized bone particles, and a binder in order to create patient-matched, customized bone grafts that could hopefully one day replace the need to harvest a bone from your body. So the short answer to, is there a clear pathway for the living bone? to go through a regulatory approval and be shown to be effective? Not yet, but that's exactly what we're working on right now.
You can watch the full version of this conversation at tomorrowscure.com.